somewhat, of these 100 back pains, what would your advice be to avoid this terrifying world and to protect yourself, like as you're actually working these 100 people up?
So this case is...
we get a lot of advice on like, don't document this, do document that, put this down, not this, that, you know, and that like, I know how to document so I can talk to my friend who's a doctor about the case. I have no idea how to like document effectively. We have very little training to like protect yourself in this world that I don't understand. So what is like your advice from this world to our world as to how to do that? To like prevent, apart from like, you know, once you're in this terrible situation.
So we realize that, you know, you don't have a lot of time and the documentation isn't going to be everything you discuss with the patient, but I think pretty much everybody understands that pertinent findings, whether they're positive or negative, should be recorded, should be indicated, and it depends upon the individual situation, and it's difficult to be to give you advice without being fact specific, so to a specific case. But if it's like there are different things for different cases. I mean, if a patient comes in with chest pain, I mean, headache, I mean, we see documentation, there's a lack of documentation as to how long the headache existed, whether or not the patient had previous headaches before, the intensity of the headache, and whether, it's relieved, okay? Obviously, we're talking about cases ultimately, that there may be a stroke. And even though you have a low threshold nowadays for doing a CTs of the head, you still don't do it in every case. So it's really fact specific to the case with respect to that.
If I can just add, my recommendation would be, so medical judgment is a defense. Ultimately, if a case goes to trial, the jury decides whether there's negligence or not, but medical judgment is a defense, and I always tell my clients that you want to see that medical judgment in your record. Again, it's hard to talk about it without discussing a specific case, but in this situation, in the doctor's note, there was no indication really. It almost felt like he ruled out an infection versus other things just because it seemed like it to him. But there was not that thought process. Why were you not thinking of infection? So or did you document that physical exam that caused you to rule out that the flank pain was not a polynephritis or UTI etiology or kidney stone? So just document that thought process that gives credibility to your medical judgment. That's what I would.
Positives and negatives that led you to think a certain
Sure.
and proceed.
So if you had written like, tachycardia likely due to anxiety, seems patients anxious,
I don't think you have to
like,
have that.
no.
I mean, that's kind of like, so basically, if it's really difficult to defend a case where a woman comes in with dysuria, with any patient comes in with dysuria, okay? And you don't do a urinalysis, the reality is, so what's the harm in doing a urinalysis? And, I understand that from the perspective of test, there's money from the real world of medicine, but in the courtroom, that's never a defense. So never that we could say, well, if we did urinalysis on every single patient, we'd be adding millions and millions of dollars, or if we did a head CT on every patient. You can't tell that to the jury. They're never going to understand it or accept that. So it's really difficult in a situation like this to defend not doing a urinalysis. Really, our experts, not in these cases, have problems also when something like a lab isn't sent, a CBC isn't due. We have patients who come in complaining of not feeling well and being sick, and not every time do labs be sent justifiably. But when those cases come to suit, honestly, see, the experts who look at these cases, the problem is that even if you have a reasonable expert, let's say who's not just doing it for the money, everybody thinks they're really smart, right? We all think a lot of ourselves. And they know the ending already. So they know the ending, what happened. And so there's this natural tendency to think that this wouldn't have happened to me, and I would have been smart enough not to have done it in the first place, or why did they order this? So you run into some kind of problems. One thing I wouldn't document, and so we have this, we're not really sure. So there's a patient, so if you had a patient who came to the ER and she was tachycardic and the admitting symptom was shortness of breath, okay? And you took a history from her and she said basically that she had injured herself, you know, she had lifted something really heavy and turned and she felt a strain in her chest, and that the pain on breathing, that the pain she had wasn't really shortness of breath, but it was really pain on inspiration and deep breathing, okay? So how many of you would have ordered a CTA to rule out a pulmonary embolism?
That's all
Yeah,
I
we
need.
have to talk more.
Can't
What?
really tell myself that.
Yeah.
Like if it's like a 17-year-old who says that, I think very few, but if we had like a woman with active breast cancer who is 60.
No, a woman with no history and no coagulopathies and no reason, and a normal examination, okay?
No, not tachycardic, not hypoxic.
She was tachycardic when she first came in, but when you repeat the vital signs, she isn't, and she's not hypoxic. So the reason I'm saying this is if you weren't ordering a CTA, you shouldn't write in your note, doubt PE.
That's my other question.
That's a mistake, okay? Because you write doubt PE because A, B, and C, and then 6 days later she comes in with a massive pulmonary embolism, is dead. That's kind of difficult to defend. You would have been much better off. In your deposition, you could have been asked the same question, you know. So when she came in and she complained of shortness of breath, what did you consider? So you guys, basically, you go through a mental process, right? Patient gives you symptoms, you run through things, right? So you go through chest pain, you think of a lot of things, heart attack, right? Dissection, right? And stuff like that. And then through your history and physical examination, you're basically narrowing the possibilities, right? And there may be a situation where, yeah, the presenting sign may have been a dissection, but, you know, the pain isn't consistent and so forth and so on. And the probability of getting a positive result on doing, you know, a CT is very low, and there's a radiation exposure and so forth and so on. And you don't do it, okay? You don't have to document all of that. At your deposition, if you were asked, did you consider the possibility, well, they're going to ask you like this, what is chest pain a symptom of? Could be this and that. Is aortic, can it be a sign of aortic dissection? Yes. I mean, if you wrote, you know, so in this particular case, you know, you could be asked in your, did you consider the possibility of pulmonary embolism? The answer, when she complained of shortness of breath or tachycardia, yes, but based upon my, you know, speaking to her at length and doing a physical examination, you know, essentially I ruled it out. I ruled it out clinically. I mean, you don't have to order a test to rule out everything. That's plaintiff's position. That's not our position in the particular case. But if you wrote that in your note, it would make it a little more, it would make it much more difficult for us to defend.
So that was going to be a specific question I had about documentation.
Okay.
My impression was that for our documentation, if we entertain a diagnosis but think that it's unlikely, that it's better to put the fact that we entertained it and that it's unlikely than to not entertain that at all. Like, because you're a complete idiot if you don't even think about PE in that case. So you're better off saying doubt PE in your assessment than not even mentioning PE, because then it's like, well, based on your documentation, did you even consider PE? And you're like, well, based on my documentation, no, but in my head I did. That seems equally difficult to defend.
So I don't think you have to necessarily write it down to say that you considered it. I think writing it down, generally doubting it is, yes, it's going to be, it'll make it more likely.
That's the exact opposite.
It'll make it-
So it's PE less likely.
So the PE is less likely. So with your EBT, so PS was less likely. Did you rule it out? Isn't your job as an ER physician to rule out those disorders that are life-threatening? Yes. Is a pulmonary embolism life-threatening? Yes. Could you rule out a PE clinically? Technically, no. How do you rule out a PE? You have to order a test. Why didn't you order that test? I mean, that's the kind of cross-examination you're going to face.
I'm sorry, everyone. Before we run out this rabbit hole, we've run out of time.
I love